Hey everybody, this is Joseph Pasek, and welcome to the Fired Up Network. Welcome to the Buffalo Bills touchdown report for Thursday night football, Thursday, November 20th. The Buffalo Bills into Houston to take on the Texans. CJ Stroud will not be playing, and Keon Coleman, haven't heard yet. He hasn't played. Because Buffalo Bills need wide receivers, he may play uh, on Thursday night. Now with Mark Everett Kelly, the two-time Emmy Award winner. Mark, how do you predict this game? Look, you know where I'm going, okay? So how do you predict this game?
Well, I got to be a little sensitive because of who I'm talking to, I guess. But
Yes.
we're talking the Texans have been very inconsistent all year. And Buffalo, their win last week, I think, in a back-and-forth game against a tough team, and Josh Allen just showed why he's great. I mean, all
He's the best player in football. But come on, Mark. It doesn't matter. My jersey is Josh Allen, but he 3 touchdowns passing, 3 touchdowns running, 6 touchdowns combined. Second time in his history, 6 touchdowns in a game. This guy, he's the MVP, and I don't care about Pat Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, or whatever. Give me this guy. And he did a blunder in the first series. He threw the ball up. He got an interception and all that. But when the chips are down, tell me, which quarterback better to have in the National Football League right now?
Yeah, I mean, especially during the regular season, whenever they need to make a drive or score points, he comes through. And I mean, like I said, I haven't seen anyone that possesses his skills since Elway. And Elway had a rocket arm, and I mean,
he's a better runner. He runs better than Elway, and he runs better than 95% of the quarterbacks in football. And he's also big, right? So 6'5".
Well, he's bigger than Elway, obviously, but he kind of looks for contact. I know earlier in his career he did, and he's been able to avoid injury. He's been able to avoid concussions, and he really lays out some people on defense. I mean, this guy can run you over, can run past you, and then can flick the ball, 50 yards, with his pinky. And he's got incredible arm strength. And his accuracy throughout his career, which I thought was going to be his problem, has gotten so much better. And he deserves a lot of credit. And I think, not only just the way he's played football, but he's such a great guy in the community, and he does so many things for kids and for people that don't have. He's really earned a lot of respect, especially from me that way. Not even get into his game playing ability, but this year you would have to say he's been the MVP. I mean, he's the most consistent part of a Buffalo team that has been inconsistent. But if you really want to talk about inconsistent, the Houston Texans are the poster boy for inconsistent, along with a bunch of other teams that we could mention, like the Chargers, who got blown out by Jacksonville. There's so many different things that have happened so far this season that leaves you to wonder what will happen. Buffalo needs to separate themselves from the pack to show that they are going to be a legitimate team in the AFC. They're going to be a Super Bowl team, that are supposed to make the Super Bowl. Now, like Kansas City is almost out of it with their loss last week. So there's no more excuses anymore for Buffalo. No matter whether they're home or on the road, this is their time.
All right, Mark, I never make excuses. The Buffalo Bills come up with this. Tonight they're in Houston. Next week they're in Pittsburgh. Next week Cincinnati comes here. All right. So, and then they're in New England, and it's somewhat, and then they're in Cleveland, and they close out with 2 home games, one of them against Philadelphia and one against your team, the Jets. The Jets are a guaranteed win night because it's, first of all, the last ever game in the stadium. Okay. Mm-hmm. The Eagles game is kind of hard. I got to admit that, right? The Cleveland Browns, you just stack Shadur Sanders like 75 times in Cleveland or whatever. So next week is Pittsburgh, which in Pittsburgh is somewhat of a hard game, and then Cincinnati. Who knows if they have Joe Burrow, but they're right now 3-7. So if you look at Buffalo has the chance to run this table, and when they play New England, if they beat New England, they're right there. So right now in AFC, forget about the Chargers. I was going to say San Diego. Forget about them. It's either the Patriots or Denver. For Colts are still, but I don't believe in the Colts. So put it this way: they got two teams to beat in the AFC, especially if Kansas City's not there, and if Buffalo. Imagine going through the last season in Buffalo to get to the Super Bowl. So that's Buffalo. It's a must-win tonight. It's a must-win tonight, and even they're laughing there where you are. And I think Buffalo will win. This is a game I'm scared of. Buffalo, when they go to Houston, they always lay an egg like they did with Atlanta. I think they laid the egg with Atlanta, and I think Buffalo will come up. I don't know if it's going to be like a 10-point game or whatever, but I could see Buffalo 27-20, something like that. What do you say?
Yeah, look, if I'm the Bills and I'm looking at the rest of the competition in the AFC, obviously Denver's record makes them something that you should fear. But Denver, to me, had problems scoring points. They had their great comeback up against the Giants. They struggled against the Jets. They've shown inconsistent patches on offense. And if you can't score with Buffalo, you're not going to beat them. Then if you go to the South, obviously the Colts, we don't know what Danny Dimes is going to do in the postseason yet. He's not tested.
He's going to lose. I'm not worried about the Colts. The Colts will lose. Like Bo Nix, I told you, between Bo Nix and the guy from the Chargers and Danny Dimes, I don't even want to have Danny Dimes. I'll get the guy Herbert or Bo Nix, but I think Bo Nix and Herbert, I just don't trust them yet. Denver's a different story because if Buffalo has to go to Denver in the playoff game and all that, Denver, the Chargers play in a dome, so the crowd takes it away. I'm not worried about the Colts, and I'm not worried about the Chargers. So New England and and Denver, those two are worrisome. But if Buffalo goes to beat on New England, I think Buffalo has the home advantage.
Yeah, I wouldn't say New England is going to be a team that, again, they're much like the Colts. They got talent. They're going to be, good in seasons to come. But like you said, I think Baltimore's really the team you got to worry about because they've shown they can beat the Bills. They got Lamar Jackson, who's an X factor. You can't prepare for him, kind of like Josh Allen. You cannot prepare for him. He can beat you with a broken play. He can beat you with his legs. He can beat you with his arm. And Baltimore's defense, it probably is their weakest point. For once, finally, I think all those years when they had Ray Lewis and Ed Reed, they were a defensive team. Even in the last couple of years, they've probably been known for more defense. But the guy that blew the game last year, Mark Andrews, just set a record for most receiving yards and I think receiving touchdowns in Ravens history. So he's going to get a chance, I think, to make up for all his dropped passes last year.
You're right. I'm scared about Baltimore, but the honest truth is I am scared about Baltimore, but they came back from 1-5. They're going to win. Like everybody said, they're going to win that division. And it's true. Pittsburgh with, Aaron Rodgers, broken pinky, whatever he has, they're going to win that division.
Yeah, I think so.
If Buffalo does not win that division, most likely they're going to have to play Pittsburgh or New England. So, not Pittsburgh, I mean Baltimore or New England. And, you get rid of New England. Then most likely you're going to have to play the Colts. I think you're going to have to play Baltimore in Baltimore, and that's a scary proposition. But I digress here. Mark.
Yeah, if they don't win the division, they might have gone to Baltimore. You're right.
Yeah. tell everybody about your sponsors, and Mark will be back here for crunching the numbers this weekend. But go ahead, tell everybody about your sponsors.
So in about an hour, we're going to have high school, Crossville High School, about maybe 15 minutes from here. Their girls and boys basketball team. We're going to come in and we're going to do some interviews with them here at the Cattle Stampede, which is one of my sponsors, owned by Miles Smith. It's why it's a little noisy in the background. You can hear a bunch of parties going on. But Miles sponsors me, and I couldn't ask for a better guy or a nicer guy or a guy that really does more for the community and has really looked out for me. And at his restaurant, they have a buffet, and it's definitely geared toward middle-class families with the specials he runs and prices he has. And again, if you mention my name, you get 10% off. So that's an extra benefit. But these are the community-owned businesses are really the ones that make me feel good about coming to eat and giving to them, because I know that it's having an impact where I live and on the other people that I cover for high school sports that I work with. So Miles is a big part of that. The other sponsor is Bobby Ledbetter, who owns two car dealership in two parts of DeKalb County, one in Gadsden, Gadsden's in Netherwood County, but one in Gadsden and one in Fort Payne. And Bobby is another guy like Miles, where they I know for Thanksgiving they'll feed the homeless. They run a bunch of other things where they give back to the community. And Bobby is a guy who, unlike most car salesmen and him and his staff, they really will pay attention to the details you're telling them. They're not just going to, you walk through the showroom, they're not just going to try to sell you the first thing that's there. They're going to find out what you have. They're going to find out, how much it's going to be worth. They'll try and work with you as far as getting the most from that. And then what kind of car you need, what kind of monthly payments, or if you want down, all that stuff. They work with you great. And it's a great experience. And you don't have to go anywhere else after buying a car from Bobby, because you wind up being a customer for life. And again, you mentioned my name, and you get $500 off the sales price. It's not enough. Like I said, we're not in that $1,000 category yet, but we're getting there.
Listen, don't mention your name. Say Mark Everett Kelly, a Fired Up Network. You get $501. Come on.
Yeah, I know. We mentioned that last week, but I don't think it's stuck. But we can try again.
It didn't stuck. I spoke to the guy personally, and he said yes. It comes out of Mark's pay. So, everybody who buys a car, you can afford $1. Come on, Mark. All right. Now, I say Buffalo 27-20. What do you say?
I see Buffalo winning, say 31-17.
Too big of a score. All right. Mark will be back here on Sunday for crunching the numbers. Thanks a lot, Mark.
Thank you, Joe.